Go. Go. So, getting back to the topic at hand. When we look at this mist coming up out of the ground, this is what this is referring to. So again, it's sitting there pointing to Adam was made from the dust. The Ruach came and watered the ground. But Adam didn't get any of this Ruach or any of this eternal life. And he said back, and that's also showing you that your life is but a vapor, because you can be here like this here and be gone the next minute. Sometimes we take that for granted. Let me read the rest of this stuff. I ain't really finna spend too much time on this here. Because he got too much of this stuff, man. Like, Cuz was going really, really hard. He was going really, really hard. Super hard. Like, this man actually says that the serpent was not a snake, but rather the most cunning mammal. This is consistent with the serpent being Lilith. When it said that it was more cunning beasts of the field, it refers to higher mammals that are soulless creatures with developed minds and emotions. And Lilith best fits this unique description of these most common animals. Even says that Lilith is the Neovite. See, I'm not denying it. Come on back to this one, 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. Let's make it about verse 5. We're going to leave this stupid nigga alone. I think we done already established that these are not two different creations, and we'll continue on in that level what we're dealing with. But what else, like I was mentioning to y'all before we was going any further about the stuff with as far as it pertains to your wife. Look at something that Peter say right here. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 5. Look at this, it was done. I ain't fooling with it. 1 Peter 3 and 5 says this. For after this manner in the old time, the Kadesh women also who trusted in Elohim adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands. Even as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him master, whose daughters ye are, as long as ye do well and are not afraid with any amazement. But listen to this part. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the favor of life, that your prayers be not hindered. Now let's look at something, right? Colossians chapter 3. He said you need to dwell with your wife according to knowledge. So that means we would have to look at what that knowledge is on dwelling with your wife. He said as the weaker vessel. And we'll deal with that in a minute. So let's look at Colossians chapter 3. Colossians 3 and 18. And after Colossians 3 and 18, Ephesians 5 and 22. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as it is fit in the master. Husbands, love your wives and be not bitter against them. That's one of the sit back and key things as a man you have to sit back and look at. If you're going to dwell with your wife according to knowledge, you can't be bitter against her. You know, let's sit back and look at that. Because I know some dudes do that. I ain't saying none of y'all do that. But I know some dudes do. There's a reason why Paul is sitting here telling you not to be bitter against your wife. And when we look in Greek, with that bitter is to produce a bitter taste, or to exasperate, or to make angry, or to irritate, or to grieve. You know what I'm saying? Now we turn around and you look at Yasharal, the wife of Yahuwah, of the Most High. He didn't do anything to make his wife be bitter or to be grieved. But we continually grieved him. See, there's a reason why he stated that. We're going to look at it a little differently, though it's not referring to wives. Let's look at Hebrews 13 real fast.
Liv, come here.
Hebrews 13 right here. Hebrews 13, what it is, by verse 15. 17. Hebrews 13 and 17. Listen to what he says. Obey them that have rule over you, and submit yourselves, for they watch for your souls, as they that must give account, that they may do it with joy and not grief, for this is unprofitable for you. Now let's look at Ephesians 5 and 25. Now when he sit back and he said that submit yourselves to those that have rule over you. Now of course you know the wife is to submit herself to her husband. But in a certain extent, the man is to submit himself to his wife. And then sit back and we'll show you what that means to a certain extent. Because sometimes as men, you'll sit back and realize that your actions and your decision making can grieve your wife and make her bitter against you or anger her. You know what I'm saying? Which is not actually going to be profitable for you. You're not going to get a gain from that if your wife is bitter. She's angry or she's upset. That's why he told you to dwell with your wives according to knowledge and to love them and not be bitter against them. You know what I'm saying? Don't necessarily do things to anger them. And we'll sit back and we're going to see what this means about dwelling with them according to knowledge for this particular matter. Ephesians 5 and 22. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husband as unto the master. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Mashiach is the head of the body, and he is the Savior of the body. Therefore, as Mashiach is the body is subject unto Mashiach, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives, even as Mashiach also loved the body and gave himself for it. So again, this is talking about dwelling with your wife according to knowledge, so your prayers are not hindered because you have a right to the favor of life. And we're going to sit back and look at how the master dwelled with his wife according to knowledge and related to his wife, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of water by the word, that he might present it to himself an esteemed body, not having spot or wrinkle or any such thing, but it should be kadesh and without blemish. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He that love his wife love himself. For no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourish and cherish it, even as the master of the body. Now you sit back and look at it. I don't think nobody walks around and makes themselves angry or bitter against themselves and grieves themselves so that they're not profitable unto themselves. Though in actuality, in reality, you do have some bitter, sad, disgusted people in this life that do those things. You know what I'm saying? That are never happy, can't be happy, won't be happy, and there's absolutely nothing you can do to make them happy. You know what I'm saying? Nevertheless, let's look at dwelling with your wife according to knowledge. Let's look at, he say, dwelling with your wife according to the weaker vessel. We looked at something in Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. He said, let us make man in our image. Male and female created he them. Let's look at Genesis 5 and 1 before we go to Genesis 2 and 21. I got to roll it. All this ain't going to be on tape, so I'm going to go to the battery die. That don't mean I'm going to stop when the battery dies, but I'm going to go to the battery dies. I'm going to go to the battery die. Genesis 5 and 1. This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that Elohim created man, in the likeness of Elohim made he him, male and female created he them, and baruch them, and called their name Adam, in the day when they were created. So he telling you right then and there that this particular matter is dealing with Adam in Genesis 1 and 26 and 27. This is talking about Adam. Say talking about no Adam and Lilith. When he said made he them, he called their name Adam. Let's look at Genesis 2 and 21. So this is letting you know that he already intended on taking this man's wife from out of him. Genesis 2 and 21. And Yahuwah Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which Yahuwah Elohim had taken from man made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of a man. Now in verse 23, going in line of what Peter said, that you should show honor to the weaker vessel. What word in verse 23 would stand out? What word do you think would stand out, considering Peter said that the woman is the weaker vessel? Now we didn't read this particular verse where it said that he would make a helpmeet for him. And that word is azar, and it literally means one who helps, or help, or a succorer, an aid, a help, and a relief. So when you sit back and you dwelling with your wife according to knowledge, you would know that your wife is there to be an aid, a help, and a relief. So if you dwelling with your wife according to knowledge, you're supposed to also know that you're supposed to be an aid and a help and a relief unto her. Because we're going to sit back and show you how your husband, or Mashiach, was an aid, a help, and a relief. And if we're going to dwell with him according to knowledge, then that's what you have to do. Hold on one second. The word that should stand out to you when he sat back and he spoke about his wife is he said, she shall be called bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. And if he sit back and he say the weaker vessel, let's look at Matthew 26 and 41. Matthew 26 and 41. Okay, then tell us how you really feel. Matthew 26 and 41. Make it 40. Remember now, he said that dwell with your wives according to knowledge, and she's the weaker vessel. After we read Matthew 26 and 41, Romans 15 and 1. And he come unto the disciples and find them asleep, and saith unto Peter, what? Could you not watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray that you enter not into temptation. The Ruach indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. Now you have to sit back and look at that Adam said, this is flesh of my flesh, bone of my bones. Adam had the Ruach breathed into him, so you would sit back and you would look at that Adam would be that Ruach, which means he was willing. Because remember, Adam didn't have to partake in the fruit. He chose to do it, to die with her. He tells you that in 1 Timothy chapter 2 about verse 15. Adam was not in the transgression. The woman being in the transgression with this. Look at 1 Timothy 2 and 15. And then Romans 15 and 1. First Timothy 2 and 15. Clearly an error occurred. 1 Timothy 2 and actually 13. It says, for Adam was first formed, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. So it said Adam was not deceived. He wasn't in the transgression. So that means Adam was willing to do what this man told him to do. But the woman being of him and being of the flesh was the weaker vessel. You know what I'm saying? Therefore she stumbled upon that. So when he tells you the husbands dwell with your wives according to knowledge, and if she's supposed to be an aid and a help and a relief and a succorer unto you, then you actually, if you're going to dwell with her according to knowledge, you need to be able to do the same thing because your master did the same thing. And let's see how he did that. Romans 15 and 1. And you can look at that on the spiritual level, and you need to look at that on the natural level. That you need to be an aid and a help and a relief to your wife. Romans 15 and 1. We then that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak, and not to please ourselves. Let every one of us please his neighbor for his good to edification. For even as Mashiach pleased not himself, but as it is written, the reproaches of them that reproach thee fell on me. So he say that we that are strong ought to bear the infirmities of the weak, and not to think about yourself. Now this is what he said back. He said, even as Mashiach seek not to please himself. So the first thing that you sit back and you look at it, right? Adam could have sought to please himself and say, you know what? I'm not going to partake in the fruit. I'm going to let this woman die by herself. But instead he took that infirmity on of the weaker vessel and perish with her, so he could end up being an aid and help and relief, which goes back to what we looked at in Hebrews chapter 2, what we were starting with, that he made him a little Lord of Malachim for the point of suffering for death, to dwell with his wife according to knowledge. So if we look at husband, love your wives, and no man ever yet hated his own flesh, and you sit back looking at the man or the husband is going to put his wife before himself. This is what the sort of thing you'll sit back and you look at when he say, husbands, dwell with your wives according to knowledge. How are we going to be able to sit back and ascertain that? Well, let's look at John 15 and 13. I was finna say Genesis 15 and 13. I know what verse that is. Let's see how it relates. Let's look at Genesis 15 and 13 since that just came out of my mouth. Yeah, you know, this is Israelite favorite verse right here, Genesis 15 and 13. This is a favorite verse right here. Genesis 15 and 13. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward they shall come out with great substance. And thou shalt go to thy fathers in Shalom, and thou shalt be buried in a good old age. But the fourth generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites are not full. It's not yet full. And when it came to pass, when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between those pieces. So the reason we read down is you end up reading about the death of Mashiach there in about verse 18 and 19. But let's look at John 15 and 13. Because you know one of the instances that people like to say, and there's nothing wrong with that, is that your wife should be your best friend. You know what I'm saying? If you with a woman, she should be your friend. If you with a man, they should be your friend. You should be friends with this person. Friends are usually like-minded individuals that have a common goal and purpose, that have the actual genuine care for one another. See, I don't know if some of y'all ever felt like this in your life. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to tell y'all something. You know one of the most difficult things for an individual to do is to walk around knowing that there's nobody on the planet that loves them. Some of y'all don't know that, feel like I've been around people that's their reality. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I know that from personally. When you know you out here, boy, and it's just you. Nobody really cares nothing about you. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all don't know what that's like because y'all got people that actually genuinely care about you. But when you when you live in a life where there's nobody that actually cares about you, you don't really care. You know what I'm saying? What you do. Some people do, some people don't. You know what I'm saying? I was around people who and they knew ain't nobody really love them, and nobody really care about them. They didn't care what they did. You know what I'm saying? They didn't care what they did. So they would just wild out. You know what I'm saying? This is why a lot of people, because that's their reality, that's why they've been in a lot of bad relationships and been with people they ain't had no business being with, because they were looking for someone to love them. You know what I'm saying? So they would go from person to person in the hopes of finding someone who would love them unlike other people and they perceived people around them did not do. And see, we ain't talking about that lovey-dovey stuff, you know, butterflies and all that type of stuff. We're talking about people be feeling no. I'm talking about someone that actually cares about everything that is you and your general well-being. Whether you lived or died. You know what I'm saying? Whether you ate or not. Whether you had somewhere to dwell. Whether you were clothed or naked. Whether you were in a good place mentally or spiritually. You know what I'm saying? Whether if you were broke or not. Somebody that actually literally cares. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people are with somebody who actually does not actually care about them. You know what I'm saying? Or someone could purposely do something to you that they know could be hurtful or hateful and they don't care. See, somebody that actually cares and loves you is going to think about you before they think about themselves. That they're going to want to do something for you before they want to do something for themselves. That's somebody that's actually loved. Like I told you before, another instance somebody loving you is if they choose to struggle with you. You know, it's a lot of women, matter of fact, they show they love by showing a man that I'm going to struggle with him. And niggas don't even see that or respect that or acknowledge that. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'll be like this here because it's different for me. Because my people were poor. You know what I'm saying? And I remember this here because my homeboy used to say this. You know what I'm saying? That he was raised that showing love was buying you something. You know what I'm saying? That's how they were taught to show love. That I bought you this, or I bought you that, or I did this, or I did that. You know what I'm saying? Truth be told, you supposed to do that. It's one thing if you sit back and you go extra, you sit back and look at, yeah, your mama or your daddy paying the rent, buying you clothes. It's kind of like I trip off that Denzel clip off that movie, but that's because they owe a responsibility to you to do that. You know what I'm saying? That's their responsibility to take care of you. That's not necessarily a manifestation of their love because they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to have somewhere for you to stay. I'm supposed to put clothes upon your back. Though this does show that I love you, that's not necessarily a manifestation of the love that I have for you because it's my responsibility to do it. You know what I'm saying? We was actually taught to actually literally manifest showing love because we didn't have stuff to just buy you. You know what I'm saying? So it was more of the things that we did for you or the time that we spent with you. Hello? Hello? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Shalom. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it really be on the real though. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of people that are with people that don't actually love them and don't actually care about them. When you love somebody, you're never ashamed of them. You'll let people know that you love them. You let people know that you rock with them. You'll let people know that you're down with them. You know what I'm saying? Because see, I just have this conversation. Because see, I ain't no social media type dude when it comes to this. Like, it's not a lot of pictures of me, myself, on my page. I ain't that real big let me post 1,000 pictures of my old lady or 1,000 pictures of us together. But if you're around me in real life, you're going to know that I'm with this person. You know what I'm saying? It's not nothing that's going to be hidden. It's not going to be a little secret. Because I feel like if I have to do that, I mean, I'm ashamed of you. And if I'm ashamed of you, that means maybe I don't need to be messing with you. You know, because I just remember conversations I have like, nigga, everybody in real life knows that I rock with you. So what's the problem? You know what I'm saying? Social media is not real life. But in real life, niggas gonna know. You know what I'm saying? You supposed to love him. Like, if you with somebody, you would be proud to let people know that. Yeah, that's my man. That's my old lady. You know what I'm saying? You'd be proud to let somebody know that. You know what I'm saying? You ain't proud to let them know that what you messing with them for. You know what I'm saying? And I say that this isn't because this is about dwelling with your wife according to knowledge. Because Yahuwah was never ashamed to let the world know that Yasharal was his people, was he? He wasn't never ashamed to let that be known. Look at Jeremiah chapter 32. I know I asked for something in John chapter 15, but we'll get it in a minute. Jeremiah 32. If it ain't 32, it's 33. Oh, excuse me, y'all. It might be 33 I'm looking for. 33 it is. Jeremiah 33, right? Jeremiah 33 and 22. Make it 19. I forgot about that. I ain't heard that in a while. That's that newborn cry right there. Jeremiah 33 and 19. And the word of Yahuwah came unto Jeremiah, saying, Thus saith Yahuwah, if you can break my covenant of the day and my covenant of the night, that there should not be day and night in their season, then also may my covenant be broken with Daud my servant, that he should not have a son to reign upon his throne, and with the Levites, the priests, my ministers. As the host of Shamahin cannot be numbered, neither of the sand of the sea measured, so I multiply the seed of Daud my servant and the Levites that minister unto me. Moreover, the word of Yahuwah came to Jeremiah, saying, Consider thou not what this people have spoken. Listen what he said. He said, you don't consider what this people have spoken. The two families which Yahuwah have chosen. He have even cast them off. Thus they have despised my people, that they should be no more a nation before them. Come and tell you something. That's how some people sit back and look at it. When you don't necessarily, you feel like you don't deal with this woman, you're not claiming this woman. See, that's hating. They despise your people because they were jealous. You know what I'm talking about? Because they wanted to be his wife. This is how they feel. You know what I'm saying? But Yahuwah wasn't ashamed of his wife. He was ashamed of her behavior. He wasn't ashamed of who he had chosen to pick his wife. This is why he set his honor and esteem on you and let the whole world know about you and proclaim. It said it pleased Yahuwah to make you his people. So that means it pleased him to make you his wife, and he wanted that to be known. That man sat back and took, we'll look at it in a minute. Hold on. It says, thus saith Yahuwah, if my covenant be not with day and night, and if I have not appointed the ordinances of Shamahim and the rats, then will I cast away the seed of Jacob and Dawood my servant, that I will not take any of his seed to be rulers over the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, for I will cause their captivity to return and have mercy on them. This man said, you consider that. I haven't cast away my wife. My wife is still my wife. Let that be known. This man even did it to the point that I will send my son down here in the likeness of sinful flesh to condemn sin in the flesh, to place my wife back where I had her at and where I desired her to be at from the jump street. Now look at something in Matthew chapter 5. Because if you sit back and you're ashamed of your wife, it means you're not dwelling with your wife or whoever you courting. If you, because I told y'all before, if you dating somebody, if you courting somebody, that's for the purpose of marriage. If you don't actually see a tangible reality that you could marry somebody, don't even waste your time messing with them. You know what I'm saying? Don't waste your time. Don't waste their time. Don't play with your feelings. Don't play with their feelings. Just don't do it. You know what I'm saying? Just don't do it. If you can't actually see that at the end of this journey, that I'm going to put my last name on this woman, why play with you and her like that? Because 9 times out of 10, when a dude play like that, he gonna end up
right there.
Because he gonna end up being more hurt than that woman is. Matthew 5 and 17.
Yeah, he's still freaking juice all over.
Matthew 5 and 17. Is that what I desire? No, it's not. It's Matthew 5 and 13. See, I say that to say this here, right? See, the master set his sights on one woman and one woman alone. And that was Yasharah. And we're going to sit back and I want y'all to cycle. What does it mean to dwell with your woman, with your wife according to knowledge? You're supposed to be dwelling with her according to the knowledge of Yahushua HaMashiach. How did he dwell with his wife? Ye are the salt of the earth. But if the salt is lost its savor, where shall it be salted? It is henceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under foot of men. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it give light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and esteem your Father which is in Shamahim. Now the reason why I say this is the reason why I say this here. Now let's look at Proverbs 18 and 1, because I know you sitting back looking at that. Ain't got nothing to do with nothing. He say your good works. After we look at Proverbs 18 and 21, then we'll look at Hebrew chapter 13, and I come back to John chapter 15. Because he said you don't hide stuff. He also told you what you do in the dark will come to the light in Luke chapter 12. You got no business hiding nothing. Just like the master say, he say, man, I did everything in the open. So there's no need to be covering stuff, hiding stuff, because that's shameful. Well, like I said, I know this from the street without the word. If you don't want nobody to know about something, or you're not readily proclaiming something, unless that you're making a move, and that move is not to be announced, I'm talking about moves. That means you feel like what you're doing is wrong. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want nobody to know about it. Proverbs 18 and 21. Proverbs 18 and 21. 22 actually. Whoso find a wife find a good thing and obtain favor of Yahuwah. So finding a woman to marry is a good thing. And again, right, this man sit back, and as we started in 1 Peter chapter 3, let me reread that for y'all. Just one particular matter. This man said that you need to dwell with your wives according to knowledge, giving her the respect or the honor as unto the weaker vessel, knowing that you're heirs together of the favor of life, that your prayers not be hindered. You know what I'm saying? That you sit back, that you dwell with this woman according to the favor of life, that your prayers, because you can sit back and be wild And because you wilding and this woman is grieved, this man don't hear you, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? I don't think, but that even vice versa. I don't think sometimes you sit and realize if you're not doing right by your wife, that man is not going to hear you. For what? Now he told you if you find a wife, you find a good thing, and the favor of Yahuwah will be bestowed upon you. So if you dwelling with your wife according to knowledge, and he say don't be bitter against your wife, do you think the master will walk around saying sideways stuff out of his mouth to his wife, disrespecting his wife? See now I want you to understand. So there's a fine line, right? Because I know sometimes some women don't like it. You could correct a woman or rebuke a woman. She don't like the tone that you use. Or she might not like, and you might have not said anything disrespectful. You might have not even belittled her. You know what I'm talking about? She just don't like the fact you corrected her, or she don't like the fact that you said it. Because niggas know what it is to belittle somebody. That means that's to say things out the way to make them feel small. I'm going to tell you something. The book say out the abundance of the heart, the mouth speak. So when you say sideways stuff out your mouth to your mate, that's how you really felt about them. And do you not realize that you can't take them words back, no matter if you said you were sorry or not, that they have been spoken? And that person will never forget what you said? You know what I'm saying? Do individuals even sit back, if we say we love somebody, do we even sit back and because see, now we're not talking about a statement of facts. Because see, sometimes people take being disrespected or being belittled because an individual made a statement of facts. Because if it's true, that's not belittling. And that's not disrespect. You belittled and disrespected yourself for behaving in such a fashion. You know what I'm saying? And the individual just pointed it out. You know what I'm talking about? But you know what belittling is. That's saying something out of the mouth. Like, you didn't have to say that. You said that for the specific purpose to make them feel bad. You do not see the master ever speaking to his wife in this fashion. Even Yahuwah himself didn't speak to his wife in that fashion, belittling her. He just told her about herself. There's a difference. You can tell your wife about herself if she's doing something incorrect and not belittle her or disrespect her. They might feel that that's what you're doing, but that's because they're the weaker vessel and they're moved by their emotions. You know what I'm talking about? Even still, I don't want to put it like this in this fashion because I know someone may not like it. Even still, sometimes you might have to actually come and sit down just like the master did with his wife and show her why you said what you said. Because Yahuwah would do that when he rebuked Yasharal. He would tell them why he said what he said. And an individual, the average woman would take it as you're treating me like a child. I'm not treating you like a child, but I'm letting you know that this is why I had to rebuke you in such a fashion. This is why I stated what I stated. You know what I'm saying? But it's about how you communicate that. You know what I'm talking about? You maybe can sit back and hear your wide perspective, but you have to sit back and realize you have to dwell with your wife according to knowledge. We know what the proclaiming of the name of Yahuwah is. It's full of judgment. So if you're going to dwell with your wife according to knowledge, you have to dwell with your wife according to righteous judgment. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at it, if you single and you saying that you have a prospect of someone that you would like to deal with, then you have to be able to understand, does this man have proper judgment? Does he possess that? Because if he don't possess that, then how is he going to be able to dwell with you according to knowledge? Is he abundant in goodness and truth? When we look at all the things that the master did, is he going to be able to dwell with you in faith and joy and long suffering and peace and in selflessness? Because the master told you it is better for you to give than to receive. So it is better for you to impart under your wife and the strong to bear the infirmities of the weak and to be more of an aid and a help and a relief to your wife than it is for her. If the woman is supposed to be selfless and take care of the house, the man is supposed to be 5 times that. Because that's the example that the master set. You know what I'm saying? That he's supposed to put his wife before himself because that's what the master did. Matter of fact, since I mentioned that, let me read this Hebrews 13, and then we'll go to Daniel 9:27, and then swing it back to John 15 and 13. Hebrews 13:1, everybody. Hebrews 13:1. Everybody feel all right? Is everybody cool?
Yes, sir.
All right, let me just check something.
Okay.
I got 38 minutes before he click out, so I got to try to get as much information as I can get in 38 minutes. And then I might just try to Ustream again. See if he'll give me some recording. It'll just be 3 parts long. I really hate doing that. But what you gonna do? Hebrews 13:1. Let brotherly love continue. Be not forgetful to entertain strangers. Excuse me, we just gotta go straight to verse 4. Marriage is honorable all in all, and the bed undefiled, but whoremongers and adulterers Elohim will judge. You know what I'm saying? Marriage is honorable in everything. You know what I'm talking about? That is an honorable and respected thing to partake in. You know what I'm saying? Now, when he say the bed undefiled, the marriage bed undefiled, that don't mean you can blow booty, and that don't mean that you can eat vagina and she can suck on your penis. That ain't what they're talking about. All you got to do is look in the law. If you're having sex and you're not married, that bed is defiled. Go look at Deuteronomy 22 verses 13 on down. It'll tell you. Don't take my word for it. Take the word of Yahuwah for it. You know what I'm saying? That bed is defiled. Now take it again that the woman is taken out of the man, and it says that the flesh is weak. And he called her flesh of my flesh, bone of my bones. It means it's weak. The flesh is weak. And Adam is this representative of the Ruach, which is strong, which is to strengthen that. And therefore, to strengthen the flesh, he died for it. He gave himself for it. He didn't think about himself. He thought about his wife. So as men, you get married, you have to think about your wife first. Not what you want. Because guess what? The master provided, he protected, he clothed, he did all that, and he still put his wife before himself. So that lets us know as men, it doesn't matter if you pay all the bills. It don't matter if you do. That stuff doesn't matter. That doesn't mean that I get a free reign to do me. Doesn't mean that. Because that's not what your Elohim did. He still put his wife first. You know what I'm saying? So we have to take that in consideration if we're going to dwell with them according to knowledge. Daniel 9:27. And see, that's when you go to sitting back looking at, when you look at the responsibility of what it is to be a husband, that you might not be prepared for that. If you say you going after that, you might not be prepared for that. You might not be able to rock and roll with that. Because I'll tell you like this here, because we were just talking about this a couple of days ago. It'd be a lot of stuff, right? I said this earlier before everybody got around here. You know what I'm saying? I can make it seem really, really hard and list that there in the third. And I am hard to a certain extent, but I'm not as hard as niggas think. Because I can remember the situation I was in beforehand. This woman like, okay, you don't do this. Like, when it's just me and you, it's different. Because it just be certain aspects of what I will do for my woman or for my child that I ain't going to necessarily let everybody see. In actuality, that ain't necessarily always a good thing. Sometimes that side needs to be seen readily to others. Because, like I said, I telling Shayla this earlier like this here, right? No, I think I was deal telling this here. Like, I ain't got no kids, right? So if your kid poops on themselves, I'm going to give you your child. Because it's not my child, I'm not changing their poop. You know what I'm saying? If it's my child, I'm not looking for their mama. If I see my child and took a dump, I'm changing my child. You know what I'm saying? If I see that my child need this here, I'm not going to call their mama to come do it. I'm going to do it. Only because I done had that experience of doing it, so I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I don't care nothing about bathing them. I don't know what I'm talking about. This, that, there, and the third. I don't even really care. You know what I'm saying? All that stuff, I don't even care about doing none of that. I don't care nothing about watching no house full of kids because I've done that on numerous occasions. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't bother me. You know what I'm talking about? It doesn't bother me at all. If you ain't had that experience, you might not be ready to do that. And I'm going to tell you something. It is not no easy task to have no 3, 4, 5 small children running around in no house. You know what I'm talking about? I understand. I done been there. You know what I'm talking about? They would drive you crazy and up the wall. You got to put your foot down. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't, you know what I'm saying? The whole house might be tore down. You know what I'm talking about? But you have to sit back. There's a lot of things that I would do that, like I said, I talk a lot of noise about it. I really don't care to see all that blood and all that stuff. And I literally might fall out. You know what I'm saying? But there's no way in the world that I would not be in the room with my wife while she's having my child. There's no way in the world I'm not going to be in there for that. I might pass out, but I'm being there though. Do you know what I'm talking about? Because I got a weak stomach when it comes to that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not joking about that. You know what I'm saying? I might not be able to deal. I can't look at that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? That stuff make me squeamish. But I'm going to be in there though. And we might literally be in the hospital bed side by side, but I was there though. But if it's not my baby, I'm not coming in there. You know what I'm saying? Holler at me when it's over with. I'm not coming in there. When it's mine, it's different. I would tell them, I can remember. So I can only imagine how it may feel if I had one. I can remember when Little Muffin was born. I can remember that. I remember exactly how she looks. I can see it. I remember the outfit that she had on. She had a yellow onesie on with white feet. You know what I'm saying? It's like she had little slanted eyes, man, had a little afro. I can see her right now because Abby kind of looked like she did when she was born. You know what I'm saying? I remember that. I can see that. And I know, and I can remember how I felt at 10 years old seeing her. You know what I'm saying? So I can only imagine how some of y'all felt or how I would feel when I see my own. And it's a different type of thing. You know what I'm saying? Then I look at this woman. This woman actually loved me enough and did me the honor of bringing forth my child. She already did the honor of becoming my wife. She gave me that honor of, I will be your wife. And then you're going to do me the honor of having my child? So you had to sit back and look at that. You had to put that woman before you. Because this is what the master did. He put his wife before himself. Because he said the strong ought to bear the weak, and the infirmities of the weak are not to seek to please themselves. With me, you have to be selfless. So this is the first thing. If you're going to dwell with your wife according to knowledge, you have to be selfless. Daniel 9:27. And he shall confirm the covenant. That's not what we want. We want 25. Is it 25? It's 26. Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Them people going to hell in a handbasket. Boy, y'all hear me? Hell in a handbasket. Hell in a handbasket. I don't know what we're going to do with these people, y'all. But we're not going to make it with some of the attitudes we got. I'll tell you that. And after 62 weeks shall Mashiach be cut off, but not for himself. And the people of the prince that shall come shall destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with the flood until the end of the war of desolations are determined. This man came and said that he sought to die and not for himself. Not for himself. John 15:13. He ain't come to do this for himself. So that means, and after that, Hebrews 2:14, he came to do this for his wife. He ain't come to do this for himself. And you know what he did and sit back and look and said, he did this for his wife to therefore be, to give her everything that she needed. So that their prayers wouldn't be hindered. Because he's making supplication on your behalf. So how the Father going to hear him if he's not dwelling with his wife properly? 15:13 in John, right? Greater love have no man than this, that a man lay his life down for his friends. Ye are my friends if you do whatsoever I command you. So he said, greater love have no man than this, that a man lay his life down for his friends. So the first thing you have to sit back and look at is dwelling with your wife according to knowledge that you lay your life down for her. That means the things that you may want to do or like to do, you would lay that down for her. Not just on the literal aspect of literally laying down your life, but that you would literally make your life about her. Because this is what he said. He loved his wife and even gave himself for it. That means he lived his whole... They ain't talking about on no simp stuff either, man. I'm talking about literally directing and leading your wife in righteousness and truth and living for her. See, look at Hebrews 2:14. Because he gave you this woman to assist and help you. And in turn, you're supposed to be living to assist and help her. We like to say it, but it's just teamwork. You have your strength, she has her strength, and then there's the balancing out of it. That's another thing. That's what we were sitting back looking at when we were talking about the virtuous woman last week. You understand what I'm saying? I say she did this and did this. So if she got kids, if she doing all this stuff, copping vineyards and making this stuff, and this, that, there, and the third, how's she going to be able to do all this if she got children? She able to do all this here because her husband is assisting or helping to be able to allow her to do this over here and do that over there. You know what I'm saying? They're working together as a cohesive unit. You know what I'm talking about? And you can see that with our people, how the framework of what it is, as we supposed to work together as a cohesive unit, as a finely oiled machine. Hebrews 2 and 14. I say, a lot of times, especially with us finding out who we are and returning to certain things, you know what I'm saying, we go hard. I told you, man, if brothers out here saying, hey, white man oppressing us, I can't work, baby. I got to get out here and do the work of the Lord. I'm a prophet of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? I'm a prophet of the Lord. You got to work 2 jobs and pay the rent. You got dudes that believe that. But that's not dwelling with your wife according to knowledge. Because we know what the law say. He say by the sweat of thy brow, take care of your wife. That means you supposed to do that. So therefore, you're not actually doing anything special. That's your reasonable service. That's what you're supposed to do according to the instruction of Yahuwah. You don't get no bonus points for that. You know what I'm saying? So, indeed. You know what I'm talking about? You don't get no bonus points for that. You don't get no bonus points for that. That means you are following the instruction of your Elohim. So that means there's no need for you to tell your wife that I take care of you and I do this and I do that and I do this and I do that, because your Elohim told you to do it. You know what I'm saying? When the book sit back and tell you that, and I'll read that in a minute, let a woman guide the house and do this, that, there, and the third, you don't get no bonus points for that. You're supposed to cook. You're supposed to clean. You're supposed to take care of the kids. You don't get no bonus points for that. That's what you were instructed to do. That's a part of your salvation. When that man say offer yourself as a living sacrifice, that is your reasonable service, and that means there are certain things that we are supposed to do. And that you're not going to get no bonus points for him for doing so. You know what I'm talking about? Like I said, man, I used to crip off hearing Chris Rock say this when he say, nigga, say, I take care of my kids, nigga. You're supposed to. I'm going to tell you something, man. One of the most disrespectful things a man could do to his wife is to throw in her face how he takes care of her or what he does for her. Because you wouldn't want nobody to do you like that. You need to tell that woman, I bought this, I paid for this. Obviously, nigga, clearly. You know what I'm saying? So what? A lot of times when men do that, that means that you more than likely don't have a pervasive argument for whatever's being discussed. So that's your trump card. You know what I'm saying? You have to do people like that. And that's belittling. That makes somebody feel really, really bad about themselves. You know what I'm saying? That'll be almost akin to a woman telling you, I only married you because I know you would take care of me. No man want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this person pretty much telling you that you as a man, you as a person, nigga, I don't care nothing about you, nigga. I just know that you's a good dude and you'll do this, that, that, and the third. And there's women that link up with dudes like that every day because they know that this dude will do that. Especially old Scalawag got three, four kids and she looking for somebody to take care of her them kids. They'll latch on to a dude real fast that they know will do that. And then when they get angry with him, they'll tell him that I'm only with you because I know you'll take care of these kids. That's messed up. You wouldn't want nobody to say that to you. You know what I'm saying? Hebrews 2 and 14. Forasmuch then as children are partakers of flesh and blood, he also himself likewise took part of the same, that through death he might destroy him that had power over death, that is the devil, and deliver them through who fear of death were all their lifetime subject to bondage. For he truly took not him on him the nature of Malachim, but he took on him the seed of Abraham. Wherefore in all things it behooved him to be made like unto his brethren, that he might be a merciful and faithful high priest in things pertaining to Elohim, to make reconciliation for the sins of the people. For in that he himself has suffered being tempted, that he is able to succor them that are tempted. So he's able to be an aid and a help and a relief to somebody that's tempted. But let's look at a key thing that he said that this man was. He was faithful and he was merciful. Let's look at that mercy. Luke chapter 7, verse 47. So if you're going to dwell with your wife according to knowledge, then you would need to be merciful to her. And you would need to be faithful to her. And being faithful to her is not necessarily talking about you not going to sleep with another woman. That means exactly what you said you was going to do, you would do it. See, like Yahuwah was faithful to Yasharal bringing up out of the wilderness. He said, I feed you, I clothe you, I give you this land. And what he told him that he was going to do, he did that. You know what I'm saying? He did that. So as a man, you got to be faithful to your wife. And as a woman, you're supposed to sit back and look at it. You got to have patience to allow that to come to pass. See, that was Yasharal's problem in the wilderness because they didn't have any faith. They didn't actually believe in him. And they didn't actually believe that what he told them what was going to happen was going to come to pass. And they were ready to bail out. That's why they were ready to go back to Egypt. See, this is not happening in the time frame that I feel like it should happen. So once a woman goes to thinking about this is not happening now this has to be subjective now. You don't have to be retarded with it. You know what I'm saying? So you have a woman think that a 2-year execution should happen in 6 months. So if she feel like it don't happen in 6 months, it's not going to happen, so I'm going to leave. You know what I'm saying? See, a lot of people have no patience, and therefore, when somebody don't have that patience to wait that out, is because they actually don't believe in the person whom they got to have this patience in. They actually don't believe this person could do whatever it is that they say they're going to do. That's why your ancestors acted the way they acted in the wilderness. They didn't actually believe that what he said he was going to do or where he was leading them, that he was actually going to lead them there. That's why they wanted to go back. And that's why sometimes you could give somebody leeway and they're showing you consistently that they're not trying to do that. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the proof is in the pudding. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the proof is in the pudding. Luke 7:47. Oh, I'm sorry. Probably about verse 40. We'll make it 39. Now when the Pharisees which had bidden him saw it. Now this is the woman, because I ain't finna start at 36. This is the woman that's anointing the master's feet and washing them with her tears, drying them with her hair. Now when the Pharisees which had bidden him saw it, he spake within himself, saying, this man, if he were a prophet, would have known who and what manner of woman this is that touch him, for she is a sinner. And Yahushua answering said unto him, Simon, I have somewhat to say unto thee. And he said, Master, say on. There was a certain creditor which had 2 debtors. The one owed 500 pence and the other 50. And when they had nothing to pay, he frankly forgave them both. Tell me therefore which of them will love him most. And Simon answered and said, I suppose that he to whom he forgave most. And he said unto him, Thou hast rightly judged. And he turned to the woman and said unto Simon, See thou this woman, I entered into thine house, thou gave me no water for my feet. But she washed my feet with tears, and wiped them with the hairs of her head. Thou gave me no kiss, but this woman since the time I came in have not ceased to kiss my feet. My head with oil thou did not anoint, but this woman have anointed my feet with ointment. Wherefore I say unto thee, her sins which are many are forgiven, for she loved much. But to whom little is forgiven, the same love little. So you sit back and you look at this here. The fact of the love that this woman showed, actually being an aid and a help and a relief unto him, he turned around and showed that and dwelled with his wife according to knowledge and showed mercy on her. Because that's one of the attributes of the name of Yahuwah, is being merciful. So you have to sit back and you have to be able to be merciful to your wife. Another instance is the master showing mercy unto his wife when those people that walked with him all those times and he stopped and he fed them all them loaves of bread. Or what about the woman with the issue of blood and when he healed her on the Shabbat? Or what about the men who, when he told them take up their bed and walk? Or what about those that were blind? Or what about those who had evil spirits in them? Or what about the lady who got caught in adultery? And he told him, hey, he without sin cast the first stone. He showed mercy. See, James chapter 4, verse 8. I'm sorry, not James chapter 4, verse 8, but James chapter 2. My mind going in and out. 2 and 13. That's all we wanted, 2 and 13. Just remember we said we dealt with this a while. This was earlier this year. He said, for he shall have judgment without mercy that have showed no mercy. Mercy rejoice against judgment. So if you're able to show mercy unto your wife, and that's going to rejoice against judgment, and he can have mercy on you. Because remember, He that findeth a wife findeth a good thing and obtain the favor of Yahuwah. This man say, if you dwell with your wife according to knowledge and give honor unto the weaker vessel or respect unto the weaker vessel. I mean, sometimes when you sit back and you look at somebody who showed respect unto the weaker vessel and dwelled with his wife according to knowledge. Genesis 21. Let's look at it. Hold on, y'all. All right. Genesis 21. Got no volume. Got no volume. Cause he gonna clean out. I did not realize that it is 10:30. Genesis what? 21:8. Let's look at somebody who dwelt with his wife according to knowledge and gave respect unto his wife. Because if you say you see to Abraham, then you ought to pay attention to it. 21:8. And Sarah saw the son Hagar, the Egyptian, which he had born unto Abraham, mocking. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son. For son of this bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, even with Isaac. And this thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight because of his son. Elohim said unto Abraham, let it not be grievous in thy sight because of the lad and because of thy bondwoman, and all that Sarah hath said unto thee, hearken unto her voice. For in Isaac shall thy seed be called. Now, why would we sit back and look at this of dwelling with your wife according to knowledge? As you sit back and look at it, his wife spoke a wise thing. So, as sit back dwelling with your wife and showing honor to the weaker vessel, respect to your wife, it means you might actually listen to her perspective and see where she's coming from. Because sometimes, like I said, right, and it also depends. Because if you know that your wife is not stupid, and if you know that your wife is wise, and you know that your wife has understanding, like you can read about Abigail, that says she was a woman of understanding, even though she was not David's wife at the time when she spoke those words to him. If you know what I'm saying? If you married to a woman, you're dealing with them, you know she's stupid. You know what I'm talking about? Then of course you're not going to be necessarily inclined to listen to what she has to say. You know what I'm saying? So you're not going to give her that honor and respect to respect her perspective and hear her perspective and maybe even actually implement her perspective and execute her perspective on what she's telling you to do. Now see, Abraham was grieved just so the fact he didn't want to get that boy up. But he didn't want to get that boy up because he knew what his wife said was right. And he knew that he needed to do that. You know what I'm talking about? Elohim had to come behind it and reiterate, go ahead and listen to your wife because what she's telling you is right. So when you turn around and you're dwelling with your wife according to knowledge and you're showing honor and respect, then you're going to respect this woman as you respect yourself. If you respect and honor your own perspective, and she's supposed to be flesh of your flesh, bone of your bone, so to speak, or even so, like we say that a lot of times your mate is a reflection of you. And this is the person that you chose. And she's supposed to be a reflection of you. That means that 99.9% of the time, she thinks how you think. But she might catch something and see something from a different vantage point than you might see it. So therefore, if she speaks that, and that's your weaker vessel, knowing that, and you supposed to give her that due respect to hear what she got to say, because it might be profitable. You know what I'm saying? Now, some of us, a lot of us have sat back and say, hey, you done got with and you done messed with the wrong person before. So therefore, you might have not always been readily inclined to hearken unto their voice because their minds actually weren't like yours. They didn't actually think like you. You know what I'm saying? So you weren't always naturally ready to hearken unto their counsel. But if you know you got a wise woman, you know this. You know what I'm saying? And she says something to you about something, why wouldn't you listen? Why wouldn't you hearken to her? Why wouldn't you give her that honor and respect to hear that and actually move on that? Because see, we can see an example of that in the law. Let's look at it. Numbers 36. Numbers 36 and 1. Now remember, ladies and gentlemen, just want to reiterate that fact now. The stuff that we do for your mates, you're supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to do. So don't sit back and think you get no brownie points for that. Don't sit back and think like you who be like, boy, you going hard, take care of your wife, boy. Make sure you got you a spot. You going hard, take care of them kids, take care of that house, girl. Make sure you got a spot. That's required of everybody. You're not doing anything out of the ordinary. And it says, and the chief fathers of the families of the children of Gilead, the son of Machar, the son of Manasseh, the families of Joseph came near and spake before Moses and before the princes, the chief fathers of the children of Yasharal. And they said, Yahuwah commanded my master to give the land for an inheritance by lot to the children of Yasharal. And my master was commanded by Yahuwah to give the inheritance of Zelophehad, our brother, unto his daughters. And if they be married to any of the sons of the other tribes of the children of Yasharal, then shall their inheritance be taken from the inheritance of our fathers, and shall be put into the inheritance of the tribe whereunto they are received. So shall it be taken from the lot of our inheritance. And when the jubilee of the children of Yasharal shall be, then shall their inheritance be put unto the inheritance of the tribe whereunto they are received. So shall their inheritance be taken away from the inheritance of the tribe of our fathers. And Moses commanded the children of Yasharal, saying, according to the word of Yahuwah, saying, the tribes of the sons of Joseph have said, well, this thing which concerning doth command concerning the daughters of Zelophehad, saying, let them marry to whom they think best. See, that's the wrong story. And I don't know this book. When this first got brought up, those daughters who he's referring to, they stepped to Moses and said, our father doesn't have any sons. He doesn't have anybody to inherit this. What shall occur? And Yahuwah told Moses, those women spoke well, hearken to what they had to say. So this is again sitting back showing honor to the weaker vessel, because obviously Elohim is not a weaker vessel. But he hearkened unto their voice. He listened unto the wisdom that they imparted. Because see, that's son my son, totally different. That's talking about them actually getting married. That's not what I want. And he hearkened unto him. He listened unto him. And sometimes as a man, you've got to be willing to hear what your wife got to say. If you're going to sit back and say that you are the stronger, bearing the weak, and that you going to seek to please her and not yourself. Because remember, the master said, for this cause was I born, and for this cause I came in the world. The master came in the world for no other cause but to die for his wife. That means he was not here to please himself. He was here to be an aid and a help and a relief to his wife. Was his wife an aid and help and a relief to him? Absolutely. You can look at Luke chapter 8, verse 3, where those women ministered their substance. How these people fed this man. How these people brought this man into their house. They were an aid and a help and a relief to their husband, as he was an aid and a help and a relief to them. And that he lived his whole entire life for the purpose of pleasing his wife. And he loved his wife. And he listened to his wife. And he honored his wife. So his prayers wouldn't... Do you think the Father would have heard this man in John chapter 17 and in Matthew chapter 26 with these supplications and prayers that he made with strong crying and tears and was heard and that he feared, if that he did not dwell with his wife according to knowledge, if he wasn't faithful and merciful enough? If he wasn't gracious enough, if he wasn't long... This man sat back and said, O faithless generation, how long shall I suffer thee? When they couldn't get that ruach up out of that man. But then he came back and told him this type don't come out but by prayer and fasting. You know what I'm saying? But it was a simple fact that when he was getting frustrated with them, it's still not in fact, you know what, but this is my wife though. I may be frustrated. I may be a little perturbed with their lack of faith. But I'm going to show this long suffering and patience with my wife. Because this is what he did. You know what I'm saying? This is what he did. That was an example of that. When he was casting out that evil ruach and they couldn't get it out. See, all of these things is manifestation of the fruits of the ruach, the gentleness. You know what I'm saying? This is dwelling with your wife according to knowledge. Which for some men, that's a little harder to master than others. Because you have some men that are very gentle, but then they weak. And you got